Welcome to the March 20th, 2023 Operations and Safety Committee meeting. The meeting format is hybrid. A quorum is physically present at the HART Administration Office, 1201 East 7th Avenue, Florida Conference Room, and the rest of the board members are participating via communication media technology. Rules for participation and roles and responsibilities of the committee are provided in the packet. Please look at the screens of your devices. An image of the flag is displayed. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson, will you please do a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Committee Member Kemp?
Here.
Committee Member Knight?
Here.
Committee Member Schisler?
Here.
Committee Chair Williams?
Here.
You do have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Rules for participation and roles and responsibilities of all committees are provided in the packet. We do not have any public comment at this time. I just want to pause and verify if there are any that have come up at this time. Okay, thank you. This concludes the public input section of the meeting. Next is election of committee officers. Ms. Julia Mandel, HART General Counsel, will chair this process.
Thank you. Are there any nominations for Chair of the Operation and Safety Committee?
I'd like to nominate Melanie Williams.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations, if we could take a vote to affirm Melanie Williams as the Chair of Operation and Safety Committee.
Committee Member Kemp?
Yes.
Committee Member Knight?
Yes.
Committee Member Schisler?
Yes.
Committee Chair Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Now I'm seeking nominations for the Vice Chair of the Operation and Safety Committee. Are there any nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councilman Schisler.
Are there any other nominations?
Second.
With no other nominations, we'll close and take a vote to confirm Mr. Schisler as the chair, Vice Chair, I apologize, of the Operation and Safety Committee.
Committee Member Kemp?
Yes.
Committee Member Knight?
Yes.
Committee Member Schisler?
Yes.
Committee Chair Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move forward. In the packet is the minutes from the, excuse me, thank you, Ms. Mandel. In the packet is the minutes from the January 23rd, 2023 Joint Strategic Planning and External Relations, Operations and Safety, and Finance and Audit Committee meeting, and February 20, 2023 Operations and Safety Committee meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second? Thank you. Ms. Jackson, will you take a roll call vote, please?
Committee Member Kemp?
Yes.
Committee Member Knight?
Yes.
Committee Member Schisler?
Yes.
Committee Chair Williams?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up are our presentations. We have operations and metrics, operations and maintenance metrics report from Mr. Bobby Edwards, Director of Transportation, Mr. Justin Loeffler, Director of Fleet Maintenance, and Mr. Richard Campbell, Interim Safety Officer. Mr. Edwards, you are recognized to start the presentation. You're welcome.
Good morning, Chair, board members, Ms. LeGrand. Today, we're going to go over the ridership for the month of February. We're still trending in the right direction as we're at a total for all modes at 1,043,000 462, which that number would have been more, but there was less days in February than what was in January. So just a note for that. As you see here, very similar to what I just spoke on about the days in February. We were at 910,596 for ridership for the month of February. As you see that change from January, but it's all trending upward. Our average weekly daily ridership for the routes 34, 1, and 6 towards the right still is around 34 to 3,700 per day. Also, Chair Williams, this is a slide that you requested from us that shows our top 5 routes with the heaviest ridership and what their on-time performance is. And as you see, the 6 was sitting at 62%. The Route 1 was at 64%. The Route 34 at 69%. Route 400 at 73%. And Route 12 at 73%. And their ridership numbers are at the top of that graph, those bars. Here we look at our total on-time performance. For the month of February, we were at 69.8%. We did decrease, however, with Mr. Alvarado and his team, Service Development, did produce a new markup for us in February, so we're hoping that March numbers are much higher from an on-time performance standpoint. Then the 3 modes that you will see here for on-time performance, for Streetcar, Paratransit, and Fixed Route. Streetcar was at 99.5% OTP. Paratransit was at 91.60, and Fixed Route was at 69.80. Then we have our total trips for the month of February. We did complete 99.74% of all of our scheduled trips. We only missed about 0.26% of trips, which of that 0.15 was a full missed trip and 0.11 was partial missed trip. And that will conclude for the transportation portion. Any questions? Good.
Oh, it's fine. Sorry, I thought it was on B. Spin it up.
That's good.
Okay.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board, Ms. LeGrand, Justin Lafleur, Director of Fleet Maintenance. So for the month of February, we did 100 PMI inspections. 100% of them were done on time. And for our major mechanical failures, we improved from January, but we were still short of our goal. Our goal is 15,000 miles, and we were at a little over 12,000 miles. Major failures were attributed to engines and coolant issues. That's all from maintenance. Next up is Richard Campbell.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Committee, Ms. LeGrand. My name is Richard Campbell. I'm the Chief Safety Officer, and I'll be reporting the safety metrics. So for fixed route or bus, we had 0 fatalities reported in February. We had 4 injuries and 4 safety events. These are according to NTD and the PTASP, so these are what the FTA requires us to report. I had my team set up a metric here. So we have 0.5 is our goal. The FTA stipulates that the transit agency, the RTA, is required to set up their own goals, so they don't have a guideline. So we figured, based on the last 6 months, we would set the goal at 0.5. As you see in February, we had 0.70, so we're up a little bit on that goal. So that's something that a trend that we're looking at, and we'll modify our training and QSTs accordingly to address these issues. The fixed route safety events has been kind of flat, trending 0.70 in February. And then Streetcar, we had 1 NTD reportable injury, 0 safety events reported, and Paratransit had no injuries or safety events reported. Questions? Thank you.
That would be Mr. Lafleur, and Ms. Zickerfoos, I guess, also works on the procurement side of our gas issues.
Yeah, some months ago, you made a presentation to us regarding the planning for going into our diesel consumption and natural gas consumption over the next year. How do we stand in relation to that projection?
So is your question specifically what type of fuels we're using, or just what the plan is?
Are we burning through it at a better rate or a slower rate?
Yeah, so our consumption of diesel has gone down. Right now, we're somewhere around 50,000 gallons per month. We are working on a procurement of 14 additional CNG buses that will replace diesel buses. At that point, we'll probably be down to about 35,000 to 40,000 gallons per month. We have the capacity for 60,000 gallons of diesel on our property.
Analyzing the funds, where we are with things, and they'll give us recommendations on what the best way to move forward. So design, build, build the loan, and things of that sort. They'll be able to look at the facilities as well, so we also have a contingency plan in place that as we're building the facility, we can still operate the service. Great. So next, I'll talk about our service changes. So these are the service changes that we went to public engagement. We did some engagement with you guys as well. May 14th is when these will be in effect. We are moving to 4 markups a year, which will help us be a little more efficient in terms of how we use assets, how we use hours and miles and things of that sort. So after this May markup, the next one will be in August, which will line up with when the school year starts. Once again, and just to kind of highlight some of the changes, you'll see there on the right lower-hand side, probably half the system wasn't touched as we went through that public process with our employees, with you guys, and obviously the public as well. The 3 big changes are the routes that are going to 30-minute frequency. So that's the 5, the 19 during the rush hour only, and the 32. And really doing the 19 during rush hour only really gives us an opportunity to improve the service, but not do it all the way across the board where it'll kind of double or triple our cost. We can kind of test it during the peak and see how the ridership responds to it. We've also spent, since we were able to kind of save a couple hours, and the goal of this project was to be at a net zero cost, we were able to spend, I would say, about $50,000 or so of cost, so to speak, to improve some of the running times as well for some of the routes across the system. We're also bringing on 2 new flex services, which is the East Fletcher, or the UATC to East Fletcher portion of the Route 33, and then the Route 17 that's turning into a mobility zone as well. The first phase of those will really just be bus stop to bus stop, and over time we'll kind of study the ability to increase outside of those bus stops and turn it into a true mobility on demand zone. There were no reductions in frequencies, no service eliminations, and no changes to the service hours, in terms of beginning to end. We made some minor routing changes to make connectivity a little easier for passengers, and we're also working through some of the transfers as running times and things of those have changed. We want to make sure we kind of maintain and improve some of the transfers we have here. So in terms of where we stand from a process standpoint we finished kind of all the base scheduling, so to speak, all kind of the base work that the operations team will be given. So today and this week is when we start our committee reviews. So that's our operations team, that's some of our OCC folks, and obviously the union as well. That'll take about a week. We'll get feedback on those pieces. We'll make some changes based off of their final recommendations. As you guys know, they've been part of this process all the way through. And then on April 7th, we'll have the biddable shifts, so what people work on a weekly basis available for review. We do it in 2 steps for a couple reasons, because as you can imagine, it's kind of a web, it's a kind of controlled product that way. So we give them an opportunity at each stage of the steps to provide input, so we don't get to the end of the process and then we have to kind of undo everything. This allows the union more time, our team more time to review, and it allows us to kind of split things apart to make sure that we can stay on our time here. Shifts will get posted on April 17th. Our bidding will start the week of the 24th, and then we'll be live on May 14th. Any questions?
Questions? See any hands raised? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to old business. Any comments for old business? Hands raised. I do have a comment or a request. There's been a lot of good information that's been learned over the last year in 2022 in regards to the inspections, I would say, as well as the route changes, also a number of key learnings from the overall safety meetings and so forth. And I know that there are plans being made for 2023 or maybe already underway. I think someone mentioned earlier, committee review as well as feedback and so forth. I'd like to make a request based on the 2022 information as we build the 2023 plans, if we could come back to the Operations and Safety Committee meeting and provide a 2023 plan based on the learnings from 2022 and review that with the Operations and Safety Committee.
Madam Chair, do you mind restating
Yes.
the request, just so I make sure we capture it
Yes.
accurately?
Yes. I would like to request a 2023 overview of our operations and safety plans based on our learnings of 2022. Yes, okay, thank you.
One more time, sorry. 2023 plan.
Our 2023 objectives. What are our plans based on the information we received on a monthly basis? For 2022, I think there's been a lot of work that's been done, and we've shared it on a monthly basis. And if we could pull all of that together into a 2023 plan, that may be already underway. But as we, thank you, as we have been sharing this on a monthly basis, I think it would be good for us to understand what that is collectively for 2023. So I know we look at our reports weekly, on a monthly basis,
Right.
but can we see that look for the entire year?
Sure,
For
so-
2023?
May I modify it a little bit?
Sure.
So what we will look to do is provide a FY '24 look ahead on what our operations would look like and the goals that we're setting and the priorities. I'm looking at staff to just make sure that what I'm saying makes sense to you as well. So we can look at, so on the operations side, we have a plan that we're working on right now that corresponds with our FY '23 budget, right? Because our FY '23 budget includes the budget associated with operating the level of service that I would say, projected that we'd be able to operate.
Right.
So as we're going into this next cycle, and we're getting ready to kick off, you're on the next committee as well, kick off our next budget cycle for FY '24, a part of that process will be for us to establish, I would say, our baseline of service that we'll be looking to implement for FY '24, right? And our FY '24 budget will reflect the level of service for operations, the maintenance cost that's associated with keeping that service on the street. So what we'll do as a part of our budget exercise is to pull out and segregate our plan just for operations and be able to provide that. I'm looking at you as well, Ms. Kirk. You can give me a head nod, yes. So we'll pull that out so that you can have a standalone, if you will, section on what the operations plan looks like. And then we'll also have the collective. I think that's a great request that you're asking for, and for us to pull it out that way, I think makes a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, our budgets for every fiscal year is really about operations, right? We're a bus operating company, and our budget is really about how do we fund operating the service. So pulling that out for you would make it clear on exactly what it is, and it'll be helpful for the community as well. And then for our overall targets for on-time performance, what I ask staff to do also is, as we look at this next markup and the improvements that we're hoping to experience, then we can reestablish a realistic target for FY '24 for on-time performance, which will also include as a, I don't want to say as a goal, right? We include our on-time performance for FY '24 as a goal in that write-up. So great request, and looking forward to pulling that together.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other comments for old business? New business? Okay. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
And the next one is going to be immediately following, so now you start.
Okay, okay. Do I need?